rise for the pledge, please.
Keep it down a little bit. It's going to set the door.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thanks.
Welcome to the January 8th, 2015 public session and agenda here. We always start out the monthly meeting with recognizing an employee of the month. See him here, but Alan Zalatka, who's maintenance mechanic 4 in the building department. He's been with us since 2001, and he was actually nominated by Ken Zay, who's the Central Garage Supervisor, and he just wrote, "I'd like to nominate Alan Zalatka of the Building Maintenance Department as Employee of the Month. Alan's a hard worker for the village, always works with a smile and enthusiasm. He works well with his fellow workers and is willing to help out whenever necessary." So, Alan, on behalf of the village board and the residents, I want to thank you for the job that you're doing and congratulate you for being the Employee of the Month for January of 2015. Now we got the oath of office for Village Volunteer Ambulance.
Yeah. Want to protest?
Yep.
Okay, raise your right arm, repeat after me. I, Rick Fowler,
I, Rick Fowler,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New York.
and the Constitution of the State of
I
New
will
York.
faithfully discharge
I will faithfully discharge
the duties of Chief
the duties of Chief
of the Southampton Village Volunteer Ambulance
of the
Corps
Southampton Village Volunteer Ambulance,
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Congratulations. Dan? Raise your right arm, repeat after me. I, Daniel Barry,
I, Daniel Barry,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United
and
States
the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and that I will faithfully discharge
and that I will faithfully discharge
the duties of First Assistant Chief
the duties of First Assistant
of
Chief
the Southampton Village Volunteer Ambulance Corps
of the Southampton Village Volunteer Ambulance Corps
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Stand up in front as we take lead.
That's okay.
Chris? I, Christopher Epley,
I, Christopher
do
Epley,
solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and I will faithfully discharge
and I will faithfully discharge
the duties of Second Assistant Chief
the duties of Second Assistant Chief
of
of
the Southampton Village Volunteer Ambulance Corps
the Southampton Village Volunteer Ambulance Corps
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right.
Take pictures of these guys and then they can go.
Yeah, one in the village board, come on down. So we got a team photo, guys. There you go. Yeah, that's it.
You guys get a little tighter.
All right, so it's Chris's 24th birthday today. But also, Chief, why don't you give a rundown real quick of the volume of calls this past year, 2014, as compared to where we were in 13?
This past year we did 771 calls. Previous year we did 667. So we were over 100 calls ahead of last year.
Wow.
We're pretty busy this year. We had record numbers in July and August. We had 98 calls and 95 calls, which is the most we've ever had before.
got 60-something guys in the department,
Yep.
men and women in the department.
Yeah, we're up to about 60 volunteers from probably 20 and 5 years ago. So we increased our membership and increased our calls.
Advanced life support and moved it up from basic life support and to really respond. We're, what, 4 minutes and something from the time of the call to
We're right at 4
arrival.
minutes after the year end with the new first responder program. We're right at 4 minutes.
So from the time the EU 911 phone call goes in to when the actual individual arrives on the scene, it's right at 4 minutes. So incredible service to the community. Got the new ambulance barn we're going to start working on, and we're
No
excited
calls went
about this.
unanswered. So
Yeah,
we
no
handled
calls.
every one of our calls. Didn't happen mutually at any of the other departments. So that's quite impressive for us.
And we had over 100 mutual aids. Mutual aids means an outside district is calling in asking for support from the village. We had over 100 mutual aids. How
Over
many?
150.
Over 150 mutual aids to neighboring departments. So incredible job you guys do. So thank you for your service, guys. I really appreciate it. Tell me all okay. All right. Thanks. Yesterday, yeah. So- Horrible. The fire department, come on in, we'll do. They're not here. Okay. So.
That's it.
Hey, you doing?
Just get something for that. At least there's something to fill out.
You
guys gotta scoot
I
in.
think you got everybody here, right?
Yep. Yeah, just give me a little clearance here if you don't mind. Gotta.
Still moving. That's a pretty good little
There.
group of volunteers, eh? Nice, nice.
Already, Mike Kemp, please. Raise your right hand. Repeat after me. I, Mike Kemp,
I, Mike Camp,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly
that I
swear
will support the Constitution of the United States
to support the Constitution of the United
and
States
the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and I will faithfully discharge
and I will faithfully discharge
the duties of Chief
the duties of Chief
of the Southampton Fire Department
of the Southampton Fire Department
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Congratulations. Thank you. All right, Chris, raise your right hand, repeat after me. I, Chris Brenner,
I, Chris Brenner,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United
and
States
the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and I will faithfully discharge
and I will faithfully discharge
the duties of First Assistant Chief
the duties of First Assistant Chief
of the Southampton Fire Department
of the Southampton Fire
according to
Department
the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Anthony, raise your right hand, repeat after me. I, Anthony Stevens,
I, Anthony
do
Stevens,
solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
I'll support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York.
and I will faithfully discharge the duties
I'll faithfully discharge the duties
of Second Assistant Chief
of Second Assistant Chief
of the Southampton Fire
of the
Department
Southampton Fire Department
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Right there.
Right there. Okay. We're not going to go one by one, so will you guys raise your hand and repeat after me? I state your name. Do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of New York, and I will faithfully discharge the duties of, state your position and hose company. According to the best of my ability. Congratulations. During the next 30 days, if you could just stop in the village hall, sign the books. This is where we're not tying everybody up at this meeting. Okay? Thanks.
Great. Actually, we're gonna want a team photo here, guys, for everybody, so.
He's looking like,
I'm hoping
I'm a kind of tall guy.
all right.
Stand up here. Get in there. You want to stand there?
He's trying to be tall. You are one of the shorter guys.
Double and triple rows.
And I don't think we have any birthdays in this group, do we? But Chief, you want to come out and just, you're the main guy now, right? So, I mean, I know that, just want to talk about how many calls you guys did last year.
Last year, we ran about 913 calls.
913 calls.
The majority of those are chiefs of investigations
Yeah.
for fire alarms, CO alarms, and down from there. How many? We had about 7 or 8 actual structure fires last year. So our numbers are down considerably for that.
Well, that's good. Those are all good things. Yeah. But, you know, we had about 150 people that are volunteers. 145 volunteers.
Members and 5 different companies, fire, police, engine companies, and all that.
And, you know, you guys take leadership roles, and from a training standpoint, I mean, how many hours a week do you guys do training at a minimum?
Seems like we're at the firehouse at least once or twice a week.
Yeah, so.
Company drill and department drill every month. And last year we picked up a lot of homes throughout the village that our residents have donated to us for us to train and that have knocked them down and renovated, which builds invaluable training for the guys.
Right.
Stuff we can't do in Yakima or anywhere else.
Yeah, I know we're very fortunate to have you guys volunteer, and I know that you guys leave your families at nighttime and on birthday parties and holidays and dinner tables and leave the beach and to respond and protect our community. And we're very fortunate to have you guys. And you know, thanks for your service. Thanks for stepping up and volunteering and taking leadership roles. This only adds on to the responsibilities and increases your time, dedication to the village and the entire fire district. So thanks, guys, and hopefully we'll keep driving those numbers down. So, but if everybody, like, the one thing is, you gotta realize these chiefs, and if they're not available, the captains or whoever, they respond to every single call. So when you have a false alarm, or if you're doing work in your house and you don't cover up your fire protection, you know, fire, you're going to have, you're going to get responses. So if, you know, most of these calls that go out are the chief's investigations, and a lot of times it's faulty fire systems. And so you could have chiefs going to a faulty system when you actually have a real incident that goes on. So pick time and make sure that your systems are all up to date, and manage them properly. And that really helps what we do and improves the services. So. All right. Rich, anything? That's it. There you go. That's my service and then my community service.
Smokey the Bear right there.
All right, great. But I appreciate you guys, so thanks.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, guys. Hey, keep it up, will you? We will. Thank you.
Sir?
Good.
That's right. Smokey the Bear. All right.
You went in out of order.
Just before we go to public comment, I just wanted to say that, we had lost an important person in the village on Tuesday, John Barucki, who was a Marine and a proud veteran and a war hero, and he was a incredible man and was always involved. He was a member of the Southampton Golf Club, and great family, and just an incredible person. And he will. If you're driving on West Prospect Street and you see by the LIPA station the Marine Corps flag and the United States flag in a little park area, well, John Barucki did all of that. And when his sons were all growing up, he would mow that area and they would play football in the area. And he always maintained the bench and the flags and raised the money for all of that stuff. So he was very proud to served his country and be a Marine, and he was very proud of the village of Southampton. So he was a good friend, and he definitely is going to be missed by many people. So Semper Fi there, Mr. Barucki. So we've got public comment. We have one person signed up here, Bill Manger, Jr.
Should I go now, or should I wait till the
public hearing, if you want to. We have the public hearing at 20 Gen Lane. If you want to wait until then, that's fine. Anyone else from the public would like to make a comment? Okay. All right. So we'll close the public comments. We have no board presentations. We have a public hearing on JV 20 Gen Lane LLC project.
Mark, just need the motion to open.
What's that?
We need a motion to open.
Okay, I'll make a motion to open the public hearing on JV 20 Gen Lane LLC project.
Second? Favor?
Aye.
Okay, this is actually a reopening of a prior
right.
hearing that began back in November.
That's
It was
right.
open
We-
for one night, was closed,
We
and
closed it, and then we
we were told
reopened it again.
there's
We had
actually
some-
no opposition that night, but
Yeah, so.
board had some questions, and we understand that.
So we have, as they say, we had submitted 8 questions to you guys in reference, and we had a letter that came in from, I'm sure that's what Mr. Manger's going to
Yep.
be here to. So if you guys want to go ahead.
Yeah, I thought we did submit some written answers to your questions.
Yes.
Rather than
Yeah.
going through each one, I think I'll
Okay.
focus on a couple of the
Why
bigger
don't we
picture
just,
ones.
let's talk about the biggies.
Yeah, yeah.
Stuff, really,
I
and
think the
it's-
first big picture question is really how this relates to the 22 Gin Lane project that you guys did give an exemption to a couple of weeks earlier than the prior hearing. And we did prepare what's a composite drawing to really show how the two lay out together. It's part of your package, I think.
Okay.
And the question really was whether the setback was in relation to the 22 Gin Lane.
Yeah.
And in fact, the setback's actually 30 feet further setback. But the way they line up, they actually line up pretty much perfectly, the two properties, to then create this area. The increased setback, as you're coming around Gin Lane, the increased setback actually decreases the visual impact of the property. It's just a pure perspective issue. You know, if you have, essentially these two homes are going to be about 1 foot difference in elevation height. The 1 foot accounted for because of the AE 15 versus AE 14 FEMA zone. But that 1 foot, when you set it back an extra 30 feet, is actually going to appear smaller than the house that you, or not smaller, lower than the house that you approved for an exemption the last time.
Actually provides a visual corridor when you're coming down.
And the two owners they've been in touch with each other, and they did support each other's applications in part because the two site plans worked together. They both were conscious of each other's plans and tried to design a cohesive plan that would work between the two of them. So I think that sort of goes to that first question you asked.
Right.
Which segues over to really maybe the question that was posed initially by Mr. Menger and then by the board, which is, can you really switch the location of the house from the southern part of the property to the northern to try to get it out of the AE 15 zone? And it was really carefully planned. This wasn't just a casual decision. But the key to this is you should hold it this way, really, in lane. The key to this is the building envelope, right? It's a regularly shaped lot because of this curve back here that squashes the building envelope on the northern part. So where the house is now, where it has the 109-foot setback, if you tried to push it up to the northern part of the property, and this is squeezed as tightly as possible, you run into the 80-foot setback line, and you cross over the wetland setback line. So you'd actually need a wetland variance, and you're bringing it 30 feet closer to Gin Lane, which then, as I said before, that increases the visual impact.
Which one is that, the wetland setback? Is that
It's this line.
That line?
That's the structural
Okay,
wetland
okay.
setback. It would trigger about 5 or 6 foot need for a variance from the zoning board because of that. So it's really a function of this squash building envelope, and this allowed, by locating it, the other part of that too is this is the FEMA line.
Right.
There is no way to get it out, 100% out of the FEMA AE 15 zone.
Right.
So even moving it here wouldn't result in lowering the house by a foot. It just results in bringing the house closer to Gin Lane, 30 feet, which then adds to the visual impact.
Right.
And we asked the landscape architects to
Could you turn and let the public see that?
Yeah.
Because
Oh,
I
yeah.
really feel like the public, well,
well,
turn it the way we had it, because, if you can, because that gives everybody,
It's this way. That's really the right way to leave it up there.
I think that's talking about the public that's here.
Yeah.
yeah, I'm talking about the public.
Oh, that's true.
So
Charlie's got a
it was a
pretty good
fair
shot.
question to ask. There's no doubt. No one's questioning that it was a proper question.
It's an interesting property because it has the 15, the 14, and I want to say, is that the 12? The different zones that it's in?
It's a 15 and a 14.
15 and a 14, and what's that? Is that the 12?
That's
or is that
that's out of the building.
out of the building?
envelope.
Yeah.
It's
So,
not even in the
but even on the property, because when you're looking at the property map, I wasn't thinking about the building envelope and the setbacks.
That's what really
Yeah,
squashes
I see
our
that.
ability to locate the house here.
What's the size of the property again? It's like 3 acres, right? Or something. Yeah.
89,000.
Okay. Yeah.
Do you have the two side lines?
So a couple acres there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Acres.
The sight line. Because it's important to understand that this 30-foot difference between
3, 5, 60.
being able to set it back 109 feet versus 80 feet creates a huge difference in terms of the sight lines.
Right.
What we asked the landscape architect to do was to show visually how the impact would be to change from this location to this location. On the bottom, you have the proposed location set back 109 feet. On the top, you have the theoretical relocation in the northern part of the property. And moving it up 30 feet, this is a theoretical 6-foot person looking over the 14-foot hedge that's been there. And where it's located, you can't see the house. The sight line over the hedge from the opposite side of Gin Lane, right by the pond, you can't even see the house or the chimney. If you move it up, the sight line crosses right through the house and right through the chimney.
Right.
So it's a small, it sounds like 30 feet's a small amount, but when you move a house 30 feet closer to a road,
See that.
you're actually creating a much larger visual impact.
I was just looking at the volume of grade. I know that's one of the questions, is the average existing grade and then
This
the
is the line of
proposed.
average existing grade right here, which is 9.58.
Yeah.
and then the proposed finished grade, and that's over towards the house, because it goes gently, slopes
Right.
gently up, is 15.25.
It's almost a 6-foot increase in the grade,
Over
right?
110 feet.
Over 100, right. I don't know if, I mean, I think we're going to start talking about what we heard last night. But one of the things that comes up in these applications is you want to try to have as gradual a slope as possible.
Right.
Okay.
true, yeah.
So by being able to set it back an extra 30 feet, you have the same height differential because you have to get to that BFE line, no matter what. Whether we built a 10-foot tall house or a 30-foot tall house,
Right.
you have to slope up, you have to build up to the line. So the grading's gonna happen no matter what, if you're hitting that BFE 15 mark.
Yeah.
If you bring it 30 feet closer to the street, you've got a steeper slope to get there. And
Right.
steeper slopes are not,
We'd
it's
also
not
need-
good planning.
Or we'd have to use retaining walls.
Or you'd have to use
which is
berms,
maybe
retaining
better.
walls, terracing, something like that.
Okay.
So I think that's probably, I mean, we can talk about any other questions you have too, but
Yeah.
what I think is important to talk about is what we heard last night.
Yeah.
Because when we started this application, we didn't really have any guidance as to where the village might be going.
Right.
Okay, so one of the criteria in your moratorium exemption is, does your proposal, is it consistent with the goals and objectives of the planning study? Okay? At the time, you know, we could guess what they were, and
Right.
we alleged that they were, but after last night, which I think most or all of you were there,
We're all
I was there too.
Yeah, the village board was.
Listened to, for the first time, we heard what at least the consultants are recommending, and you all heard the same thing. There are certain things we try to do, and one of the benefits we have is we're dealing with a big lot. As I said yesterday, the tougher situations for these FEMA properties are the small lots where you don't have the luxury of setting back. As they said last night, the further back you can go, the better you can deal with the visual massing issues, because to them it's all about massing. It's not, a number is just a number, but it's all about perspective and massing and how you deal with it. So one of the key issues that we're talking about today is the ability to be able to set this thing back, not to the 80-foot setback mark, but to the 130-foot setback mark. 109, an extra 30 feet. So, and that creates that, you know, that 1 foot differential between the two properties. It creates a much more significant perceived decrease because of this lot, because of that ability to locate it back. We will lose that if anyone suggests we should squash the house in the northern part of the property. The consultants, they came up with some specifics last night that also give us at least some guidance. Who knows what this board's going to adopt at the end of the day, but we were able to put together a drawing, which we haven't handed up yet, and we're going to hand up, that compiles at least the numerical side of what they're recommending. And they're recommending two main things. One, they're recommending a height cap that's a little lower than the cap that exists today. Okay, so the consultants talked about a measurement of BFE +1 +35, which takes us up to 36 feet. And then they talked about, excuse me, apologies, I have a cold today. They talked about adding a fairly narrow sky plane to the properties to help bring things towards the center and result in this massing benefit. And what we were able to do was to take the house exactly where it's proposed and draw on the exact recommendations that they were proposing last night. We drew for a front yard, you have a 40-foot setback and then a 33-degree angle shooting up from there. And that, by being able to take it out of the 80-foot setback mark and set it back another 30 feet, you take the house way outside of the sky plane. It's a good 10 to 15 feet away from the sky plane. It's not even close. If you brought the house here, you'd actually be potentially impacted by the sky plane. That's what we're talking about. The bottom drawing is the side yard sky plane, which also shows that we're well under, because it's located centrally enough on the lot that we're well away from any potential sky plane problem. And this horizontal line is the maximum line that they're proposing to build. We're 2 feet under that. So the house that's designed is a house that complies with the current code. And insofar as we have an idea of what the new code might be, it's well under the new code. I think that's something that, it's a new discovery as of last night,
Yeah.
but it's critical to this because everything you talk about is you're imposing a moratorium on somebody. It's an extreme thing to do. I mean, everybody knows that. It's a last resort. You create a hardship, especially on lots that are vacant. You know, somebody buys a lot, they can't build on it with a moratorium. So you have this situation where you do something extreme to somebody like that, to anybody who buys a property, whether it's 22 or 20, and they design something that, if you want to call it fortuitously or just good planning, is respectful of the property, is respectful of things to come. And there's really no reason at this point for this property owner to be stuck in this moratorium for who knows how long, another 6 months. We don't know when this is going to end.
Oh, it's going to end.
It's,
you know,
it's going to end, sir, but, you know, they
No.
talked about soliciting comments through, you know, just on the very first phase, soliciting comments through the end of the month.
Right.
And then having another planning commission meeting, and then the actual proposal
and they'll present
from.
here, and then we'll put the law, yeah.
Yeah,
So, I mean, this is a moratorium, it's a 6-month moratorium, and our goal, which I said to the Suffolk County Planning Commission, is to make these changes within that 6-month time frame.
And Godspeed. I hope you do it.
And that's what we're hoping to do. I think we hired the right people. We went out and did a lot of research, and I think they've done a good job, and it's not fair to anybody.
No, I
So, yeah.
completely agree.
Yeah.
The point being, if we've designed something that, it's not like we're just on the cusp of
Oh, I know.
passing this new recommendation. We pass with flying colors, and to keep them stuck in a moratorium,
Right.
it's essentially punishing them for no reason at this point. So unless you have further questions, I think that's
Do you guys have any questions, comments, or? Okay, I'm going to open it up from the public. Mr. Manger had, let's see.
Thank you, Mark.
Nice to be back in Village Hall again. You know, I think, Bill Manger, 12 Fairley Road. I think that it's too bad, though, that when they originally came in to design the house on the property, that they didn't try and locate it in the AE 15 zone, the AE 14 zone, so that the house could be a little bit lower, and they could take advantage of the fact that the topography of the property in that area is also about a foot higher, meaning they would not need as much fill. I mean, I think they're proposing over 5 feet of fill, which is quite an extreme amount of fill. And there is, in fact, on the plan, a wall on the southerly border with the neighbor to the south. And next to the house, there's a wall that's shown on the plans. I'm not sure if that's a retaining wall or what that wall is for, but there is clearly a wall on the plans. You know, my point would be that, again, the house is in the design phase. I would think that the applicant could go back and figure out how to design a house that could sit in the AE 14 zone on the higher land as the property lies today. And also, they are before the ZBA asking for a wetland setback permit right now. They were there last month. And they're asking for a wetland setback not only for the gates to the property, but also to the motor court, which is in the wetlands setback. So, I mean, you know, if I could wave a magic wand, I'd ask the ZBA to give them a variance for the rear of the property, so that the whole thing, including the motor court, could be set back a little bit more. And if you look at the plan, to the rear of the property, there's actually an easement. It's not a neighbor right away. There's an easement of at least 25 feet before you get to the neighboring property to the east. So I don't think it would be an undue hardship for the ZBA to grant an easement so they could go back a little bit further, allowing for the fact that there is a 25-foot eastment to the eastern side of the property. And thereby again, not having to encroach as much into the wetland setback, because if you look at the plans, the right-of-way along Gin Lane at that location is anywhere between 6 feet 5 inches and 7 feet elevation, which means that the difference in elevation to the average passerby to the house, where the house starts at the new grade with the over 5 feet of fill, will be a 9-foot difference from where a passerby is standing next to Gin Lane and where the house begins at grade level as proposed. So that, to me, is quite a large change in grade, and even if it is over 100 feet, it still is a significant change, and I think anyone that knows that part of the village, it's extremely visible at the southern end of Lake Agawam and probably one of the most historic parts of the village. And the minute you pass Crider Lane driving east on Gin Lane, you will see this house looming up there on this fill. And it's, there's no way you're not going to see it above a hedge. The only other thing that I would want to add as well is that I do know that the reason why the moratorium was there was an allowance made to be exempt from the moratorium at the neighboring house, number 22, is that the owners of that property have entered into basically a land swap deal where they have to give up their current house in the village and move into their new house within a tight time frame. And so it is a hardship to them if they are forced out of their old house and not able to move into their new house. They will be, for a short period of time, homeless in the village. This situation, a developer is building this house. It's completely different. I don't think it's not being built for a specific family at this point. I don't see that there is an urgency to grant an exemption from the moratorium for this property. And I certainly don't think that you need to grant an exemption for 20 that is more generous than what you granted to 22, which has an actual hardship currently. The only other thing I would say is that visually, I think if you're, again, to the west at Lake Agawam and you're looking east towards this property that now is vacant, and you have the new house, number 22, near the corner, the bend in Gin Lane, already that's going to be elevated because they are in the AE 14 zone, so they will have to elevate a little bit. I think visually it would probably be more harmonious and, dare I say, more natural if the two houses were elevated closer together than having one house, I'll do it for you guys, one house that's sort of on a rise at the northern end of that part of Gin Lane, and then a lower area, and then another rise where you have this other house that's going to stand out, pardon the expression, like a sore thumb. I think they would actually visually, there would be more harmony, and again, it could look even more natural if the two houses that are elevated on the side of the lake there were closer together towards that corner, and then you would still have the long flat area going towards, down towards the beach. So those are.
I think they explained that they're setting it back further, so visually, from the streetscape, it actually looks lower.
No, I understand that.
And the house next door, which is closer to the street line, and that will look higher. And that's true.
Right,
Anything in the forefront appears to be taller than anything that is further away.
Right.
And I think that was part of their decision-making in putting it where they were putting it, as opposed to pulling it over here where it was closer to the wetland line and bringing it closer to the street, which would make it look a lot taller.
No, I understand that.
That's how I'm understanding it.
Right. And I'm just saying, though, that I do know, again, they're before the ZBA for one wetland setback permit. I would think that, again, if I had my druthers, I would say, look, the ZBA should give them a variance for the rear yard so that the house still can be maintained significantly back from Gin Lane, But they would indeed, if you want to stay that with the house exactly as it's currently built and not redesign it, although I would argue that they have time to redesign the house a little bit as well, so that they could take advantage of the AE 14 zone and the higher topography to move it again towards the northeast, and again, at request from the ZBA a variance to the easement that exists behind the house, and again, not have to encroach as much into the wetlands. I would think that's a good trade-off.
Let's talk about that easement. How active is that easement?
It goes with all the properties on that
But does
parcel.
someone have the right to cross over that easement? I mean, is it a driveway that goes to another house? What is it?
That's a Bluestone driveway, right?
Yeah, a couple of people have the right to use it. It's not tremendously, I can't tell you how active it is, but I can tell you who has rights over it.
But it's a private easement.
It is a private easement, yeah.
Yeah, but I'm saying if you push the house back, you always run the risk of having somebody drive very close to your house.
That's true.
So,
Well, sure.
but
I mean,
with the
But literally, there are, I think, 2 houses beyond there. And so, again, it's
Would you want that? I wouldn't want that.
I live on a road like that, so
Yeah.
I
Well,
used to.
the actual, the survey says that the driveway's to be removed. Is that correct?
It's being relocated.
The
Relocated.
easement driveway is being relocated?
A little bit, I think, as part of some of the land swaps. As you know, all these properties were once owned by
I do know that.
one person.
Yeah.
And when they were sold and split apart, there was some swapping that was done, some adjustments to the driveway to try to, well, a couple of people are eliminating access off of the driveway to try to lessen it. So
Right.
that's where the swapping comes in.
Okay, let me
I
see.
mean, the only point I was trying to make,
That's what it goes like now.
Okay, and,
Mr. McKnight's property over here.
okay, so you're showing the back of the property to,
This is-
that's it. Is that the
Right.
easement?
That's the easement, and the current driveway goes like this. The new driveway is actually getting pushed further.
But it is on the border. Is it not on the border of the property? I'm
Oh, yes,
confused.
so the border,
It
the easement
borders,
is on the border of the property, correct, yes.
so if you move the house back, you would be closer to the new driveway.
And there's also a house that's been approved to be constructed right here. So you're impinging on somebody else there.
yeah, but it's by the same developer.
So-
It's separate, but it's, again,
So it's, I know that on there, there's 16, 18, 20, and 22 Gin Lane, and what's the address of the other house you were just showing?
24 Gin Lane.
24 Gin Lane. So
The one that's over there?
24 Gin Lane, it didn't have any special requirements, and they weren't asking for any exemptions or anything like that. So, and then 16 and 18 are owned by the same person, right?
Actually, what's interesting, because the flood zones, the 24, at the top of the ridge for 24 is going to be at 47, 22 is at 48, and 20 would be at 49.
Okay. Do we know if there's any plans for 18? I know 16 has the historic house on it.
there are no plans at this time.
No
I've
plans.
spoken to him, there's no plans
Okay.
at this time.
Yeah, because he had reached out to us, the owner of that had reached out and wanted to make comment, but we never got any feedback from him or at all.
I had spent time with
I can't
Bill
remember.
Flanagan to go over everything, and then he had sent an email, and we never heard anything.
Yeah, we had received the same email and never had any feedback from him.
No, well, I mean,
Yeah.
I have spoken to him, and
Okay.
I think he would tend to agree with me in that it would be nicer if the house could be located farther to the northeast
Yeah.
on the lot. And I think visually, again, you will not have it looming up in the middle of this, what today exists as a vacant parcel. It could be, again, more down towards the north in conjunction with the other houses, and I think it would have less of a visual impact.
But they're saying because it's pushed back, it has less of a visual impact now.
No, and I again, Trustee McGinn, I would just say that if the house could maintain being that far back and moved, again, further north, maybe the house has to be redesigned a little bit. But I think, honestly, at the end of the day, that would be a far better solution for this historic part of the village.
Well, I don't think you're ever going to see this house anyway, because it's going to be behind hedge. I mean, we all know all these houses get behind hedge, and you never see them again, except in the winter.
Except
The hedge leaves come
except
off.
that you have a far vantage point from, Gin Lane near the Dune Church, where you clearly will see this house.
Well,
I know if you're right up at the hedge, you're not going to see it.
I have a question on the driveway, the right-of-way driveway. Could I look at that other the poster underneath that? So if you move that house from where you're suggesting the positioning of it now, and you're saying you move it to the north and further back, it's right where that proposed driveway, right-of-way comes in. It comes in at that point, does it not?
Yes, it does.
So it's giving you less of a backyard, really. If you move it, do you see what I'm saying?
No, I understand exactly what you're saying.
I mean, so
It's
if
in
I
the
were a
backyard.
person and I were trying to
This
plan
is
my
the
yard,
backyard. I mean, that's
yeah,
the rear
yeah.
yard setback.
Is he
Yeah.
proposing you
Exactly
put it by
what-
where the tennis court
I guess.
proposed? Is that? I mean,
Yeah.
Right. That's probably a better
I mean, if I
drawing,
were
because it
trying to
shows-
plan my house, I don't think I would want it close to where the right-of-way is, because if I didn't have to have it close to where the right-of-way is, because it gives me so much less of a yard in the back.
There's another reason why. It's considered generally terrible planning to stack a house right up behind somebody else's accessory structures. The 22 Gin Lane site plan shows better on the composite map. The 22 Gin Lane site plan has the proposed pool right here, and this is the area. It's generally considered bad planning to try to put a house, accessory pools, then another house, then accessory. You try to
Doesn't
put-
give anyone
you try to-
privacy.
The planning board tries to put accessory structures stacked against accessory structures, not alternating them if possible. So it's not considered good planning to squash a house right next to somebody's pool. If that's,
This is a corner lot in essence, it's got two front yards.
Right.
they don't have a choice.
They don't
They
have
don't
a
have a
choice.
22 has no choice. That's the
Right.
only way to site plan that property.
Mhm.
Well, but the house doesn't have to be designed exactly as it's been designed. I mean, architects could come up, Lisa could come up with another design, I'm sure.
I'll say the design's been in progress since before this moratorium was even uttered out of the words of anybody's mouth here.
But it's not been approved by the ARB yet.
It hasn't.
Okay.
Right.
All right.
Well, I think it's a traditional shingled house, isn't
Oh,
it?
yeah, we
No,
have-
it is. I mean, it's, the interesting part of the house is all the features we talked about last night at the planning commission are all in there.
See
Well,
this.
that's the thing, if you tried to squash it into that limited building envelope, what would you result in? You'd result in a more monolithic, the exact opposite of what they were talking about last night.
This step deck, as you can see, it has depth, and it's not one big panel.
Yeah, right.
The other thing is too, I will say the architects for this project, which are great architects, also did 24 Gin Lane. And we were approved, and I hesitate to say 5 minutes. They loved it, members.
Well, we've had other projects approved in 5 minutes that didn't go over very well. So we're gonna drop that timeframe, so.
But this is what it
But I think the public should see this too, because this is
Yeah.
what,
No, I think actually I agree with you. The design of the house
Yeah,
is
no, it's
very
a-
nice.
it's a-
I
it's
mean,
very
the
nice, it's
issue I
very
have
traditional.
is the location and how that is going to visually affect the southern end of Lake
I mean,
Agawam and anyone that drives
you know
by
what,
there.
here's the way I look at it. When I'm driving along Gin Lane and I'm heading in a westerly direction, I see all those houses on Lake Agawam, and I like seeing them,
Oh, sure.
you know,
Yeah.
and they're tall houses. And I mean, I don't know, and I also think that this house is gonna have a huge hedge, and we're probably never gonna see it, which I'd rather look at the house than not look at the house. But we're not gonna get that opportunity, because they're gonna want privacy. So, right.
Yeah, I mean,
We have large
the
trees in between
Right.
Gin Lane.
unfortunate, we all knew this with this property, because it's such a great
Yeah.
property.
Yeah, no,
And we
it's a
knew
heartache that
that
it's-
somebody was gonna buy it, they're subdividing the whole thing, and be sold off, and then it had multiple homes built on it. And we're going from nothing to something.
Yeah.
And that's the,
a lot of something.
a lot of something.
big
And,
adjustment.
and that's the biggest adjustment, I think, on the property. So it's unfortunate somebody couldn't keep that. And, you know, if I'd had $100 million, I would have liked to have had that house. So,
So
but,
you could subdivide it?
and so I could subdivide. We've been hanging out a little bit.
Nice, Bill.
Okay.
But I think that's the biggest, everybody for
the
years,
toughest part.
decades,
Yeah.
has been accustomed to seeing nothing there and something's gonna be there, and I think that's unavoidable, is what we really have to get at.
Yeah, what a beautiful piece of property. So, I mean, that's the unfortunate, so, okay.
Yeah, no, I would just, again, go back to the fact, though, that the moratorium was supposed to be exempted if there was a hardship. And again, I would argue that there really isn't a major hardship on this property, especially with only 3 months left of the moratorium. But anyway, I'll leave it at that. Thank
Okay,
you.
all right, thanks.
Thank you.
Anyone else from the public would like to speak?
Do you mind if I just?
Sure, go ahead.
I'll keep it quick, just to that hardship comment. Two things. It's a hardship on anybody to have a vacant lot that you can't use. Okay? And the moratorium impacts a vacant lot more than it impacts anybody else, because if there was a house on this lot, you could at least use it while you're planning your rebuild. If you're planning on rebuilding it, yeah, you might lose a season out of it, but at least you'd be using your property. Okay? When you impose a moratorium on a vacant lot and it freezes the ability to go forward with that lot, that's a hardship, and it's an extreme hardship. Two, you can't discriminate between somebody who's a quote-unquote developer and someone who's got a family here. If you had written this moratorium law and said, we're only going to apply it to developers, it would take them about 5 seconds for a court to overturn it. It's not a fair thing to single someone out and say, well, you can take it, you're a developer. Maybe you paid 8 figures for the property, and maybe your carrying costs are astronomical, but so what? You're a developer and you should suffer. It's not right to single
Well,
people out that way.
I don't think this board views.
I felt it necessary to point that
Yeah,
out.
I mean, I feel confident the board doesn't view the property, who owns it, as to what their profession is and stuff, so.
No, but can I just say one thing? I mean, the owner does have the right to sell the property.
Come on up, please.
Yeah.
I mean, I would just add that the owner does have the right to sell the property. They're not stuck with the property if they can't build a house on it. There are still other options for any owner of a piece of property.
And then we'd be back here again with a new application.
Well, by then the moratorium will be over.
Sooner or later, we're gonna get an application on this.
That's right, that's right. Anyone else from the public would like to speak on this? Okay, so I think we have a lot of information here. We've got to review, digest, take Mr. Manger's comments into consideration. Do you have anything you want to?
The time that we collectively went to see a number of applications, we couldn't get into the property. Now it's fairly visible and the drawings are quite nice. Is there any chance, though, that we could get in there and just get an idea of...
To stand on the property?
Just stand on the property and see how imposing...
Will you be able to do that?
Give me a call, I'll see if I
Okay.
can set it up.
We'll work with Melissa on that and
It'd be good if we
do
could-
that.
Yeah, no
So
problem, we can do it all at once, would
No
be great.
surprises.
It'd be a great.
Maybe you could meet us over there and we could explain it again while we're on the property.
We'll stay on the right-of-way.
Yeah.
The existing or the proposed?
Well, you can show us what the,
There you go.
yeah.
Both are. Okay, great. Okay, so I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second? Second. All in favor? Aye.
Great, thanks. Let's see here, we've got, what are they doing? Okay.
Not a problem, it's okay. I know you never mind.
Okay, communications to the board, PBA.
We have a request from the PBA to use the Agawam Park for the annual Easter egg hunt on Good Friday, April 3rd, in their usual morning hours.
Make a motion to authorize the Southampton Village PBA to utilize Agawam Park, the annual Easter egg hunt on Good Friday, April 3rd, 2015, in the morning hours.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
All right.
This is annual. Do we always have that on Friday, or have we had it on
Yeah.
Saturday in the past?
The letter.
I just wondered if it was on a
Wow.
Saturday. It was Good Friday to have an Easter egg hunt is an odd thing.
Yeah.
I don't remember it to
Good
be on
point.
Friday.
I thought it was,
Can we back up a little here?
What's that?
It says annual Easter egg hunt,
Yeah.
but I don't ever remember it being on Good Friday. I remember it being on Saturday.
No,
Good
it's Good
Friday.
Friday.
It's Friday
Good Friday.
mornings.
It is?
It's, yeah, every
Yeah.
Wow.
every Friday. Good Friday.
Wow.
So kids are normally out of school that day. Yeah. That's a good day.
Okay. I don't remember.
Now you have to adjust your schedule. to be
Remember
there for
taking
Friday.
Evan, but I don't remember
There you
the
go.
day.
There you go. So we got a bunch of young people in the back here. So you guys here observing or what's going on? Oh, sorry.
We have to come here for school. Nice. That's your spokesperson? We have to come here for school.
enthusiastic.
They got that on TV. You
That's
know.
right. That's,
Not like we wanted to, we were requested to, we have to.
yeah. Mercy.
Did
Okay.
Charlie take their picture so that they can prove they were here?
Yeah, Charlie's getting there. So good. Good. All right. Okay. Resolutions?
Item 1, resolve the reading of minutes of the public session December 11th be dispensed with. Those minutes be accepted as filed by the village administrator, and the actions taken at meeting be and hereby are ratified and approved. Got a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolve the claims for the warrants dated January 8th, 2015, totaling $496,460.46. Warrant 10 General Fund, $12,560, and $300 warrants 8 and 16 Trust Fund and village payrolls for the period from December 11th to January 8th, 2015 be ordered and approved. Got a motion?
Make the motion.
Second? Discussion? Item 1, 71 Hill, January rent for the building inspector, $4,774. Two payments to A&E Estates for tree replacements, $36.75 and $44.80. Page 2, Amshare Wholesale Ammunition for the police department, $6,238.80. Aldo Andrioli, January engineering fee, $3,250. Page 3, going out to 4, Cash Production videotaping for December, $1,079.75. Cleary Consulting, consulting for 248 Moses Lane, $1,500. Coastal Fire Systems, Scott Mass for the fire department, $1,670.51. Page 5, Commissioner of Taxation and Finance, fourth quarter MTA tax, $9,625.86. Corliss Auto Body, towing from October to December, $1,575. Page 6, Eberhard Nurseries, trees, $2,430. Page 7, Greenblatt, fire marshal uniforms, $1,355.75. Herrick Hardware, going on to page 9, $1,399.25 for December. Page 10, Johnson Electrical, traffic signal maintenance for December, $1,350. Page 11, Lewis RCF Energy, fuel for the Southampton Arts Center, $1,736.87. Royal East Printing, arrest jackets for PD, $1,258. Page 12, Malvisi Equipment, hydraulic cylinder, $1,195. Delroy, medical reimbursement, $3,703.14. Morgan Auto Supply and Auto Scanner, $3,299. And again, Morgan Auto, going on to page 13, supplies to the garage, $2,333.62. Morton Buildings, repairs to the antique barn, $4,040. National Grid, for the buildings, $1,544.70 and $2,372.07. Page 14, Norsec and Son Carting for December, $4,605. New York State Employee Health Insurance for January, $257, $356.44. Office State Controller, November Parking Fine, $7,044. Page 15, PSE&G for the buildings, $2,157.94. Page 16, for the street lights, $1,382.84, and again for the buildings, $2,976.09. Page 17, red the uniform tailover, PD uniforms, $6,417.42. Page 18, Revco Electrical Supplies, street lighting supplies, $1,307.11. Page 19, Riverhead Building Supplies for parks, highway, and buildings, $2,550.30. Robinson & Robinson, ARB legal representation, $15,714. Sadie Levine, Justice Court audit for the year ending 5/31/14, $4,250. Page 20, Swing Electrical Supplies, street lighting supplies, $1,218.72. Southampton Christmas lights, $1,230. Suffolk County National Bank, interest on the first responder bond, $1,500. Page 21, Suffolk County National Bank again, interest and principal payment in the amount of $42,588 for the computer equipment. Thomas Gildy Electric Firehouse Generator, $1,475. Dyson Krupp Elevator Maintenance Agreement for the Firehouse, $3,062.81. Trust account, replacing a lost check, $14,706.84, transferred over to trust. United Metro Energy, 3,000 gallons of gas, $5,998.20. Page 22, Verizon Wireless, December bill, $1,329.87. Going on to the trust fund. One payment to New York Environmental, the inspection of the Dosha House, $7,665. And Taconic Bay Fence, work at the Door Park, $4,895. Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Item 3, resolve that the Board of Trustees hereby approves the attached schedule of budget transfers to eliminate overage for the period December 11th through January 8th, 2015. Got a motion?
Make that motion.
Second? Discussion. Item 1, $800 into clerk equipment from contractual. Item 2, $8,000 into building supply and materials from contractual. Item 3, $7,000 to radio operators holiday vacation travel from radio operator salaries. Item 4, safety inspection part-time, $1,200 in. Safety inspection equipment, $2,000. Safety inspection utilities, $2,000. Building inspector contractual, with $1,200 coming from safety inspections overtime and $10,000 from contingency. Last item is parks contractual, $2,000 in, coming from parks miscellaneous. Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Item 4, resolve the sale of tax liens on all unpaid real property taxes for the fiscal year 2014-2015 will be held at 1 p.m. on Tuesday, March 17th, 2015, in the boardroom, Municipal Building, 23 Main Street, Southampton, New York. If a notice to this effect be published in the official paper, the Southampton Press. Have a motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Item 5, resolve that the Board of Trustees hereby approve refunding a building permit fee in the amount of $18,750 to Recam Holdings, LLC. Have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second?
Discussion. They decided not to go forward with this property, and this is recommended by John Foster, the building inspector. All in favor?
Aye.
Item 6, resolve that the Board of Trustees hereby authorizes the mayor to execute the mutual aid agreement between the police departments of towns of Southampton, Riverhead, East Hampton, Southold, and Shelter Island, and the villages of Southampton, East Hampton, Quogue, West Hampton Beach, and Sag Harbor. Have a motion?
The motion.
Second?
Second?
Discussion? All in
Just
favor?
a mutual aid agreement that allows us to, through the town, to respond like we've been responding to everybody, so.
All in favor?
Aye.
Item 7, resolve that the Board of Trustees approve the appointment of Kenneth Raymond Lockhart as a probationary member of the Southampton Hose effective January 8, 2015. Have a motion?
Make that motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And last item is resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby approves the hiring of Jolie Sanchez as a recording secretary for the ARB, ZBA, and Planning Board through February 2015 at a rate of $200 per meeting to cover for Antoinette Edwards and Candace Kleinhan. Have a motion?
Make the motion.
Second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye. Okay. All right, so discussion items. We have 450 Gin Lane LLC. We have a public hearing on this. We've closed the public hearing. We ask our attorney to give a decision here. Rick, you want to, I mean, it's what, 5 pages, 6 pages, at least 7, 8 pages, 8-page decision. Would you like to,
You don't need to read it all. If you are prepared to adopt it, I can word a motion for you.
well, what I'd like to
Oh,
do
you
is
want-
just, I'd like to, because I've read it, I think most everybody, we've all received it. I'd like for you to summarize the motion for everyone.
Okay, basically, it describes and sets forth the relevant height data in relation to the existing zoning code, in relation to natural grade under the moratorium. It sets forth where the elevation to which the proposed house is required to be elevated. It sets forth the elevations of the one-family dwellings on the adjoining parcels to the east and west, showing that the roof ridge elevation of this proposed house will be about the same as the roof ridge elevation of the adjoining, of the one-family dwelling to the east, and will be lower than the roof ridge elevation of the one-family dwelling to the west. It goes into the character of the immediate Gin Lane neighborhood, and it concludes basically that the immediate neighborhood, if this house is constructed, will still have Old Town Pond on the north side of Gin Lane, so no houses over there. It will have 3 houses on the south side of Gin Lane, all of which are consistent in terms of the roof ridge elevations. It talks about the goals and objectives of the moratorium to reasonably balance the rights and interests of property owners, the neighborhood, and the community. It notes that the proposed house currently before you for an exemption has been reduced in height by 2 feet from its initial proposal. It notes that I lost my train of thought. Oh, it notes and emphasizes that the proposed house is now of traditional design rather than contemporary design, and that the traditional design is consistent with the character of the community and the character of the area. It points out that strict adherence to the temporary height limitation under the moratorium is not something that's going to reasonably come out of the planning work being studied, because it would unreasonably restrict the design and character of houses and actually adversely affect the character of the village in these areas. It points out that the current plans for the proposed house still have to go through architectural review and historic preservation compatibility review before the Board of Architectural Review and the before a building permit can be obtained. And it ends up concluding that the proposed house meets all the standards in your law for an exemption.
Great, okay. Anybody from the board have any comments in reference to this? All right, so if you award a resolution?
Okay, it would be a motion to adopt the written decision as presented at this meeting to be annexed to the minutes of this meeting.
I'll make that motion.
Second? Second. Roll call vote. Trustee Yaz?
Aye.
Trustee Irving?
Aye.
Mayor Epley?
Aye.
Trustee McCann?
Aye.
Trustee Hatcher?
Aye.
Okay. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, guys.
And Rick, the resolution here, you did a lot of great work on this, and I know it was, you did it, it's very in-depth and very thorough, and I greatly appreciate the work on that, so.
My pleasure.
So, all right. Good luck, guys.
You need
See
a
ya.
copy? Anybody need a copy?
Here's a copy of the resolution. Yeah. Drop it.
I have one copy.
Here's, I've got an extra copy if you want it.
Thanks, guys. Susan, you want that? Brady, you want to give that to Susan? Thanks. Yep. Okay.
Rick availed himself to questions and inquiries and meetings, so yeah, he did a lot of work.
Now, just 2 things I wanted to bring up here. Department head reports. So at the first meeting in February, I'd like to be able to us to report on our departments, spend about 5 minutes to talk about kind of the accomplishments of 2014. A lot of great stuff that we've done in the village in last year, and a lot of issues that we've dealt with. I'd like it's their opportunity. I told the guys at the supervisors meeting the other day, it's their opportunity for us to brag about what they do, and developing goals, talking about the goals from 2014, developing the goals for 2015, which kind of leads us into the 2015-16 budget, and they are working on and beginning to work on their budgets. We need to work closely with our guys and make sure that the budgets kind of meet what our goals are for each department and the village overall. Steve, did you have anything else?
Yeah, the budget, all the worksheets are out. Each department head has their 7th-month activity by department. There are obviously their manual worksheets that they've prepared to give to me by February 20th, so they'll be working on that and then working with you guys as far as both what they want to accomplish for 2015 and where they can work through. We do have an additional, obviously we have a 2% tax cap this year, which is, a little bit less. It's not, the inflation rate is a little bit different, a tad higher than it was last year, so we have a little bit more wiggle room in there. But the thing we have to deal with now is this freeze guidelines that we have to adopt a report by April 30th and file it with the state saying that we are going to do some kind of consolidation and such in order to maintain these rebates that are going to be issued the following year. Okay, there's no reporting that's saying that we have to say 1% of the budget, which is 1% of our tax levy, which is roughly $200,000. I have to put together a narrative saying how we're going to do that in the next budget year. There's no, right now, reporting requirement on whether we actually do it or not. It's just saying that we are going to, and this is how we plan to do it. Okay, so I'm working on a couple ideas, obviously, with moving building inspectors upstairs. That will help a good chunk of it. The good thing is that is also a 2-year look back of what we've done in the last 2 years to save money. So that's something that, I have to get together by April 30th, but I'll keep you apprised as we go through that. But obviously it's something that we really should keep in file, Okay, and this will be the rebates that come back from the state to the taxpayer. So it does not flow through us.
Okay. All right, great. Okay, Cooper's Beach.
All right, Cooper's Beach, the ad for the concession, I can't believe I'm actually having this conversation on a 6-degree day, but it's going in the paper for the next 2 weeks. The bid documents are required back here by February 20th. There'll be a bid opening on Friday at 2:30 on February 20th for this upcoming season, which will be here before you know it.
All right, great.
All right. And the last item, we have a request from the American Heart Association for their heart ride on May 16th, 2015, which again, this is a bicycle ride through the village, which they do every year.
I would I'd make a motion to authorize the American Heart Association heart ride on May 16th in accordance with their application.
Second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
So one thing, when we send the letter out and we talk to them, I'm asking that all their bicycle riders obey the rules of the road. Because they don't stop at stop signs, they don't stop at intersections and lights, and it really
disrupts.
Somebody's going to get hurt. One of their riders is going to get hit, and it's not. And I see it all the time. They just blow through everything. So they really have to. They're on the roads. Technically, we can't deny their application here because they're riding bikes on the roads, but they need to follow the rules of the road.
All right, I'll put that in a letter.
And the chief will be watching them too. One of the PD will be out. So.
And just a reminder that they can't. It doesn't say in here they can't. You can't really come up Job's Lane or Main Street.
Right.
And in the past, some of them have kind of gotten off the beaten thing, and I mean path, and they've come that way, and it's dangerous because they're racing. People are crossing the street. I almost got hit by one. I never even saw him. Never expected to have him there. and just whizzed right by, and I was trying, and I had my head this way, and it was coming this way. If I had taken one step, I would have collided with him. They're not supposed to be on Main Street or Joke Sign, so
Okay.
we need to
We'll add
remind
that.
them of
Yep.
that.
Yeah.
Just a point of.
No, it's true, it's true. So, actually, we should actually talk to them about revision of this road, because it goes on Hampton Road where we put the diagonal parking in on a Saturday in May.
Yeah.
Okay. Which is probably not a good thing.
Right.
So,
I'll give them a call.
yeah.
Yeah, they should
So
go
it
How are
just,
they gonna do that then? How are they gonna do it?
well, they,
That's right. It's different from last year.
I mean, Saturday in May, you probably could go down First Neck and go to generally, because they end up on Wickapog Road.
How are
Where
they
they
gonna
end
get to
up on.
First Neck?
They're on Hill Street, right?
Which route are you on? The 27 now?
No,
or-
they're not. So,
I'm looking at it as they come, how they come back.
I mean,
Or
they're,
they're Pond Lane.
they're starting at, Rotations is where they're starting at.
Right. so
That's where they
Then
started,
they go to Pond
finish.
Lane, they could go up and around
Right.
and avoid the village.
Yeah.
But in the beginning, it does say they come up on First
Yeah.
Neck.
And they could actually go down to Jagger, or they could just go to Windmill and then get off on North Main Street or something.
Yeah, but Jagger has all the shopping.
Yeah.
The supermarket, you can't do that.
Yeah, so you're probably better off just, it's Rick
Well,
over at
maybe they could
Rotations,
go
right?
over to Bowden Square, come up North Main
Yeah.
Street, over to Bowden Square, cross over and down Windmill.
Yeah.
Possibility, right? Hmm?
Yeah. Okay.
This is approval pending?
What's approval for the ride? We'll talk to them on the route.
But
Yeah.
I don't see where they're coming on Hampton Road.
They are on, at the bottom of the page at mile 26.6.
Gotcha, okay.
So if they're doing Edge of Woods Road to David White's, instead of going to David White's all the way down to Hampton Road, they can go Powell. You can go down Powell to North Main Street to Bowden Square, and then take Windmill Lane in.
That's what they should do.
That's the best thing to do. And then you're bypassing that area right there.
Okay. That's only on the 27 mile route, right?
Powell to North Main Street, to Bowden Square,
Yep.
to Windmill.
Yeah.
Good thinking.
So, okay. So no further discussion items here. We've got the comments from board members. Trustee Yaz.
Just Happy New Year to everybody, and hope everybody had a good holiday season. And we haven't had any snow or anything yet, but I just want to see it up north so we can go scan it. So Happy New Year, everybody.
Thanks. Trustee Irving?
You know, I'd like to thank the Planning Commission for their presentation the other night. They really did a great job. They worked
They did a
real
great
hard. And I think the general gist of the situation is that to get the design features that we want in the village of Southampton isn't a question of reducing the height to a minimal amount, and, you know, therefore, a lot of these applications need to be reviewed, I think. And I just really would like to thank, that they did Nelson Pope and Voorhees and the Planning Commission did a great job.
You did. Nancy?
I agree with all of that. It was an unbelievable presentation, and I was really pleased with it. And I too would like to wish everyone a very happy New Year. And it's nice to see all you young people here. I like that.
You have to be here.
Whether you want to be here or not, so there you go.
Well, how many of you want to be
Yeah.
here?
That's right.
Raise your hand at once.
Bill?
Just two thoughts. Your comments on John Barucki, who was a great personal friend of mine. Such a great guy. His experiences in Korea were awesome, and he didn't talk about them very often, and they impacted his whole life because he suffered bad frostbite over there, but he was one of the great guys this village has ever produced. As I said last night at the meeting, it was terrific, as you've all indicated, and I can't wait for them to conclude so they can turn their attention to the 85% of the village. They're working on the FEMA zones now, which it's important, but I think the rest of the village is a speculator's heaven, and I really can't wait for them to see if there isn't some things that we could implement that would preserve things a little better than maybe they have been. Other than that, Happy New Year. Oh, and go Packers.
All right. Go Cowboys, actually.
Them Cowboys are going to freeze up
I
there.
know, exactly. They are.
I throw in Go Giants next year.
Yeah, there you go, yeah.
You've got a lot to look forward to.
There you go. There you go. A lot of
22
growth.
guys on injured reserve, and
right.
they get them all back. That receiver of theirs is one of the best I've ever seen.
Yeah, he's phenomenal.
Yeah. So, but yeah, so I just wanted to close out. So I mean, Nelson Pope and Voorhees and did a great job, and the Planning Commission's done a great job on the work. It's a they put a lot of time and effort into it. Really studied the FEMA zone area. I agree with Bill. The next big project is got to look at heights throughout the entire village. There's a lot of this stuff that we're going to be able to roll right over into it. I think there's some other things that we can make some modifications to, and that will help us a little bit. And I know that a couple of things that we've talked to them about. One is they're recommending we look at a consultant professional engineer to help out the building department on some of these applications, because
It's a great idea.
some of these homes that are being built are like significant commercial buildings that need to have reviews done on them.
It was key.
Yeah, it's very key to it. The other piece is that we've asked them to study parking. I think parking is a big component to this. Throughout, you want to talk about something that impacts 85% of our village? Define a residential parking spot. Define a driveway width, and use that in relation to the code, which the code says, there's 2 cars for 3 bedrooms and 1 car parking spot for each additional bedroom from there. And you see some of these homes that are coming in with 8, 9 bedrooms, and they only have parking on site for 4 cars. They're not meeting it, and we don't have that definition, and they're going to help us work with that definition. And another piece is that they're also going to, and these are proposals that are going to come in front of us to hire them to do this, but they're going to create packages for every application, so that there's a checklist. So if you come in and you want to do A, B, and C, I've got a property here, you're going to know exactly what the guidelines are, the criterias, that you're going to have a checklist that's going to go through, and you're going to meet all of this stuff. So when somebody comes in to pick something up and decides I want to do something with my property, it's not you might get this, you might get that. This is the way it is. And they're going to help us. We've been talking to John and the attorneys and for the village and the heads of the chairs of all the boards, and it's just from a time standpoint, it's just almost virtually impossible for us to do this. So they're going to do that. I know Kathy Eisman has already kind of started working on this for us, but those are key components that are the follow-ups with this stuff, and I think will make big differences in the way we manage activity in that building department. Because the building, Steve and I were just looking at the numbers today. This year, last year at this time, the revenues in the building department were $925,000.
At 782.
782.
They're at $1,250,000.
Right.
Yeah,
Same year to date, 7 months. It's insane.
big increase.
Insane. Crazy.
It's $500,000 plus there. That
We
is-
budgeted $1.3 million, and we're 50,000 away
Yeah.
from it at the 7th month of the year.
Well, I thought one of the interesting things that Nelson Boatman presented to us is that a lot of the highly respected houses and a lot of the houses that were looked at as architecturally important in the village are houses that actually conform to the design criterias that we've been discussing
Right.
in regards to setback and side variances and placement of the house. And that is really key, because that's what we're trying to do.
Right.
Well, I think they also were discussing the design aspects of it, where they, instead of having, one large wall or a house that's absolutely straight, he was talking about how it was cut in and how where the dormer was placed and the slope of the roof, so that it doesn't look like a mass,
Right.
one large mass, because your eye basically, it cuts up the size of the house and makes it so much more attractive and palatable and fits into the community all in a very traditional way. And that's true. Most of those older houses, I always used to say that all along years ago, like, if we do what we're doing, we won't be able to have the same architecture. I always worried about the architecture, preserving the architecture, because it's very important to the community.
Yeah.
I like, but when he was talking about, he mentioned the parking thing. One of the guys in the group there went so far as to say what's important about attacking that is telling people, and they alluded to it last night, about how you use the space, making choice. If you got to park your cars, you want your pool, you want all this stuff. He was basically getting to the point where, you know what, you tell the person they got to make a choice. What's more important? And I think that's key to that, because and that people understand that you know what, you can't just put it in and then by default the car's going to go elsewhere. I think he was alluding to the fact of right off the bat, you're telling the person that you want all those things: the court, the tennis court, the pool, and the larger house, and something's got to go. Right. And I thought was a very interesting aspect of it, and to get the teeth in there to get that done.
I agree.
And once people know that, then that'll become the new norm.
Yeah.
I hope.
But also, I think what you're pointing out is very, very important, because we do have an influx of very large houses on smaller lots in different neighborhoods. And so you say, well, they have to adhere to ground coverage and lot coverage and all of that, but a lot of them are digging very deep basements, and they're putting additional bedrooms in the basement because they know their footprint isn't going to allow for it, and they really want more bedroom space. And that bedroom space is requiring them to have more parking spaces. And if they can't find on that piece of property enough parking spaces, well, then they can't have those bedrooms in the basement. That's basically it. That's what we're saying.
Yeah. So, that's true. That's true. But, it's 14 was a good year, and I hope 15 is for all of us. I know it's going to be good for me. I got another granddaughter coming at the end of April, so that's all good stuff. So, I know, exactly. So do we have any other comments from the public? Anybody would like to speak? You guys? No?
Come on.
Nothing?
Class dismissed?
All right, class dismissed. So I make a motion to adjourn to executive session for the purpose of discussing personnel matters.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.